We'll call this meeting of the 9:34.
Holy frights, that's horrible.
They're not in yet? I guess we'll call the meeting to order and then we will wait for a quorum. We'll do a roll call and as they come in, we'll proceed.
Okay, Barry is absent. Steve? Brad?
Yay.
Did he say here?
Yep.
Here.
Corey?
Here.
Shand is absent. David?
Well, we'll just hang tight until one of the other two jump in. And we'll give them 30 seconds.
Keith, know that you can't hardly see that clock?
I agree.
Beth, you just gave me.
Yeah, right.
It is faded though.
It's bad, yeah. See, and I can't see because there's a white
There's a
line
light.
right
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
Beth, you're gonna have core signs and stuff right before. Okay. You're gonna need to fill in some of that, that application, that loan application.
For Sarah now?
I'll show you what you need to fill in,
Okay.
right after the meeting.
Mm-hmm. I think there's the Association of Counties is putting on a training tomorrow about rules of, and it's all about rules of public meetings. I was planning on listening. Maybe I'll type that question in and ask. It is a Zoom meeting, yeah. It's just for all county employees. It was put out for anybody that wanted to. You just can't vote. But,
I think I'm going to that tomorrow too.
yeah, I think so. Right.
Hang on, let me see if I have my. I was gonna say, I don't have my book. I think I bought you all books.
What, have you talked to Steve?
He was here at the last
Yeah, I know.
one. Maybe he wasn't planning on coming to the
Yeah,
park.
Steve said, when are they starting? And I said, now. And then they have calendar invites with the stuff, and then I just resent it to both of them. Steve asked when they were starting, and so I said, now. Okay, and then I have, like I resent both them of the information.
We should have that put on the agenda again.
No, it's only for if people need to call in to participate.
No, why?
Because it's only for people who need to call in to participate. Yeah.
Doesn't want
Otherwise-
randoms just calling in and talking over.
Okay, note that that's not muted, and this is still live streaming because they decided.
So we can't, oh. Who's here? Is this Steve or is this David here? David, you on yet? I'll put David as absent then. We got
Okay.
Steve, I'll just mark David as absent unless he comes in.
Yeah, well, seeing we have a quorum, we will proceed.
What time is it?
9:40. I guess we'll start with the approval of minutes from the December 20th meeting, and I will entertain a motion when you are ready.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, Brad, second. Is there any discussion for the minutes? Discussion, roll call vote.
Steve?
Yes, sorry.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, financials?
The financials are in your packet. I did not include the oil revenue for this month. It was down a little bit. We've been averaging close to about 11,000 a month. This last month, it was, the check was 7,700. So that was a little bit down from what we were getting, but we also know that sometimes those fluctuate a little and, you know, good chance that next month might be just a little bit bigger. But otherwise, that's all I have for finances.
Okay, any questions for finances for Jeremy? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business vendors and county parks.
I'm kind of looking for a little guidelines, and I mean, obviously, I'll work with Karen and find, but I have had recently, a few different people now contact me in the last month about wanting to be vendors at the parks, specifically at Blacktail. I've had ranges from people that want to put up different vending type machines, whether that's bait or ice or soda or whatever, food, and then also someone who would be interested and is in the talking to planning and zoning, who has a house out there, looking at if he can do something on his own property, and if not, potentially leasing some type of land from us to put up some type of small store where he would sell that same type of thing. So they all kind of came in here in the last couple weeks. And then plus there's also been someone that had contacted about putting an ice vending machine. So I told all of them that we would have it on the agenda in February, and any proposals that they would want, to put forward for what they want to do. And then hopefully maybe give them some guidelines here in the next week or so with what we would expect or what we're kind of looking for. So I just kind of want to give you guys a heads up, and then also if there's something specific. I mean, I think we've talked before, there's definitely services that we'd like to find a way to provide out at our parks, and especially Blacktail, it's the biggest one. It makes sense with the permanent residents out there as well as the campers. So I kind of want to give you guys a heads up if there's any feelings, anything that I needed to look out for, and then also tell you next month we'll probably have a couple different people come and making a presentation to what they would like to do out there. I will also say, like, I also plan on bringing my own presentation as far as a couple vending machines, what the county could just provide to. So I plan on that as well, and letting you guys decide kind of what's best. But otherwise, that's all I got. I'm certainly welcome to any input anyone has. I also plan on making a point to talking to a couple commissioners one-on-one throughout the next couple weeks as I talk to vendors and see what they say, so I can keep moving in the right direction. But I thought it was something that I didn't want to have people show up today and just start throwing things at. I wanted to kind of give us a heads up so we could think about it a little bit.
Okay, anybody have any comments, suggestions for thoughts on vendors?
So when you work with Karen, what are you gonna try to come up? I mean, is it gonna be are we thinking a bid process? I mean, because you could have 4 people come in with an ice machine and say, hey, I want to put this in.
I was thinking more about just wanting to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong as far as any contracts for leasing. If we had to lease if we decided to lease land out, just working on the contract side of it, in the agreement with what we might need. That's kind of the area I think Karen's expertise will come in. Because if we end up having someone that we decide that they're gonna purchase a vending machine and they're gonna put it on our property, and we're gonna get, whether we get a lump fee, whether we get an annual fee, a monthly fee, or we get a percentage of what they do, whatever that works out, I'm assuming we'll have to have some agreement in place, and that's the part I see working with Karen. But I mean, right, that'd probably be more after we decide on a direction with who we may go with, but more things I'd like to learn and stay up front on.
Any other, Brad, do you have something?
No, actually, I was wondering if we were gonna cover those bases. I'm not aware of anybody out there planning on their own property. That's something I guess I would worry a little bit.
And that would definitely have to go through planning and zoning, right? I mean,
Depends on what it is though, too. You know, if it's something as simple as an ice machine, I remember last year we talked about someone wanted to do something and talk about it on their own property. Something that simple is, I don't have concerns on, but I do have concerns on if there's food and drink, a lot of boat traffic in one congested area, or car traffic in one congested area.
yeah, oh, definitely. Right, if food and drink and bait and how much is it? I agree. My personal opinion, I'm more interested in streamlined process of some vending machines and some services that way. But I also know that that's what I was approached with, so want to make it aware to everyone.
Okay, any other comments? I guess my only comment would be that, in my opinion, at this time, we tell the vendors that the county will, or the park board will provide basically nothing, you know, like, I know there's discussion of concrete pad and all this stuff, and it's like, if you want to put an ice machine, it's gonna be pretty limited what we're gonna provide, but that's just my opinion.
Right, I mean, ice machine requires water, they have to, you know, get a new, I mean, if we go with them and we decide not to do our own, I mean, same deal, right? You have to get that water hookup, you have to make that happen.
Okay, no other comments for vendors. I guess we'll move into discussion items. Lake Loop Trail.
The Lake Loop Trail is a trail at Blacktail. Like I said, we had that federal grant. We had to do a cultural study. Lindsay went out and requested some quotes. We've moved forward with Beaver Creek Archaeology. They are their quote was just under $4,000 and not to exceed. The next closest quote was over $6,000. I was pretty pleased with that number. I had no idea what to expect. I thought that was pretty reasonable. And they can't start till there's no snow on the ground, but as soon as there's no snow on the ground, they'll be hitting the ground running. So that's it for the cultural study. Moving on. Not for that dollar amount, no. Moving down to the bid process. We have a timeline we'd like to put out. We'd like to move for. We'll start advertising bid requirements for building that trail in the beginning of February, and then our plan is to close it on the Thursday before the March Park Board meeting, and then on Friday at noon we would open up bids. I'd get them sent out to the board, and then at our regular March meeting we would make a decision. Hopefully, potentially make a decision on awarding someone to do that construction. That's my planned timeline. As long as everyone's good with moving forward with that, that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Ice fishing derby.
Oh, moving on. Ice fishing derby. We're doing our ice fishing derby February 11th at Coda Ray again. We're partnering with the Wilson United Sportsmen's. They've got a crew of guys that are going to come down and work. They've already lined up I think they've got 100. Last year we had 95 registered entries. I think they got 125 logoed buckets, 5-gallon buckets that every kid's the first 125 kids that register are gonna get. We're also gonna have some, and for sure, every kid's gonna get 2 lures. The United Sportsmen took care of all that. we're working on, seeing if we still, I got a couple other sponsors that are interested in doing some things. One of them, I think, is gonna take care of the meal. We'll feed everybody that day. And then the other sponsor is potentially interested in buying a fishing pole for, those 125 kids. So we're gonna try to get that lined up this week and finished up. Either day had a lot of interest, and either way, we've had a lot of interest in both helping out, but also with people participating in it. So I'm excited for that event. Went well last year, hope it does again. We do, in case of real bad weather, right? Like real bad weather, if we have really windy and miserable, like no reason to be out there, we have set aside another Saturday to be a makeup day. And we would make that call, 24 hours or more before if it was, the weather's so bad. But excited for that ice fishing derby. Went well last year, hoping to just build on it, make it better. Rural water this year, following, I put in maps about where we want to put rural water in. We did start to work on that, or we did get get a quote last year, and then we did not finish up that project. It got late in the season. So I'd like to, that same timeline is kind of that same timeline that I talked about for doing the trail at Blacktail. Like for those 3 parks to get quotes, those amounts should be small enough that we don't have to bid it out. But go get quotes from companies, follow that same timeline, and then hopefully award each of those projects again in March. So they can get after it right away and make sure they get it done this construction season. You can see on the maps there, the Epping Springbrook one is kind of a long run. We'd have to go from that turn there, and it's kind of a long run. Same thing with the Little Egypt. Little Egypt has to go from the golf course, and it's a long run. I have talked to both the landowners, and they're both, we just have to get the paperwork done for them to do a easement to let us put that in. For those two, I have not, I've talked to them in the past, but I have to recommunicate with the landowner at Coda Ray. At Coda Ray, it's a much shorter run. It's basically just getting it under the road. The water right there is already there. So those are my plans moving forward, so you guys know. I'll give you an update in February, but the goal is to hopefully award those in March.
Okay, grants?
So we got 2 grants coming up. Both of them are the first one's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. This is kind of a bigger dollar grant. It's a 50-50 grant. It's again a federal grant that's administered by state parks. I'm gonna work with Lindsay, but also I'll talk to you. I'm not sure exactly what I want to apply for that for yet. We have a lot of projects that we could fit. I want to try to find the right thing that will get approved. And then the same thing, that Garrison Diversion Grant, that one, so the Land and Water is due, I think, February 28th. Garrison Diversion is due March 1st. That one's at 25, they reimburse us 25%. I have had, since I've been at Williams County, I've had good luck with finding those projects in that $80,000 to $100,000 range, and them funding that $20,000 to $25,000. So I'm gonna kind of look through our projects we got coming up here in the next year or two, and identify something from there and apply for those. But I'll be able to let you know in the February meeting, and then the deadlines for both of those are right at the end of February. But they're 2 good grants. They're both really good grants. Both, consistently, or if you got a good project, they get funded. So we'll just keep every grant I can find to apply. I'll just keep going after it. Those are those 2.
Okay. Any questions on grants?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed what the first Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, what was the percentage on that?
It's a 50-50 matching grant, and typically they give away bigger dollar amounts. I mean, you can go find in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's also used, a lot of times people use it to purchase land, but it's a pretty broad-based, a lot of it, mostly just outdoor recreation, outdoor, whatever that be, promoting the outdoors. So there are some limitations, but almost nothing that we're gonna do would fall into that. There's some limitations, I think, against schools and some other stuff, but for us, we kind of everything is covered in that. And it is a bigger dollar amount, so I'm gonna take some time to try to pick out the right thing to apply for that.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Okay, parks updates.
Couple things, Blacktail, still got a cross-country ski trail, hasn't been used a lot, but has been used. It's about 1.5 miles of trails up there. I think we've groomed it 5 times, keeping it nice. There's a couple spots where it's getting, the snow's kind of melting, but for the most part, the trail we picked had a lot of snow and good shade and out of the sun, so, we still got a nice cross-country ski trail out there. So I keep promoting that. The other thing at Blacktail is the shop has, the heater's really small. It's heated enough to keep it from freezing, which doesn't, I don't know if it matters because there's no water, but it's still, I mean, we got equipment in there. But it's really small, and in the it runs 24/7 if it's at all a little bit cold. So just looking at some pricing to put in some ceiling fans, I think that'll really help out to blow that heat down. I went out there with the little heat laser beam thing, and the ceiling was 25 degrees warmer than the floor. So just gonna look and see what that pricing is to get an upgrade in heaters and put in some heating fans. And I'll bring that back next month and we'll decide. But that's it for Blacktail. Epping Springbrook, we reopened the gate back up, but we did have the gate closed for quite a while. The road was a mess. It was a lot of snow, but we got through and we finally got it cleaned up. So we did have it, you know, you could still access the beach, the boat landing, you can still on to go ice fishing, just there's that road to get all to the campground spot. The snow was just deep and blown in, and we didn't need anybody getting stuck back there. But we did get that opened up last week. We got it, all the snow moved so they can get through. Little Egypt, the ice fishing has continued to be very popular. There's at least 12 houses right outside of right straight out from the Little Egypt ice access. And every time I've gone down there, there's people using it for day use too, just going out with their portable or with their 4-wheelers. So it's been a good thing. We've kept that open. That was through that big snowstorm. That was a tough one because that sits down low. It was a tough one for us to kind of get open. Took us a few days to get there, but it's been going really well and people have been using it. Lookout Park, we're gonna that's on the project to finish this year. So that's in our master plan to finish this year. I anticipate coming with a plan to in February to put out what we want to do to get that finalized and finished up. McGregor Dam, that north road, it took us a little while too to clean up with snow. That kind of was closed off for a while. We did get it cleaned up. We've also worked with the, I can't remember his name right now, Scott's. Can't remember the people that own right there. We've been working with them. We've been putting up some new, what? Post, thank you, that's it, the posts. Been working with them. They have noticed that they've had some people really driving through there fast. We put up some new signage, both kids at play and some new speed limit signs on there. But getting that north side road was cleared was a task. And then Coteray, we're just getting ready for that ice fishing tournament. I think everything's in pretty good shape. All of them, I guess not McGregor so much, but all the other lakes have been used pretty. Now that we've got past the first year, they all have got fish houses on them. They're all getting fished, so it's good.
I have a question, going back to the Blacktail Dam area. We had talked about this just briefly last year about possible speed bumps put in on that gravel road. Keep the dust and the speed down, especially closer to the golf course. It does create a problem out there in the golf course if you're out there. Is there anything been considered on that? We looked into that at all?
Do you have? I mean, Brad, are you comfortable with the same kind of speed bumps we have in the campground area?
Yeah, then
those removable ones.
It can be moved to
Yep.
do take care, do road maintenance and then put right back.
Yep. We'll get the supplies ordered that we need for those, and we can get them built here before spring. And then, Brad, I can work with you, and we can identify where we think the best spots to put them are. But we'll probably build another 5 of them. I think we had 1 extra from last year that we didn't use from the campground. So we'll build probably about 5 more, and then you and I can get together, identify where some places to put them, and know we can move them if we don't like where we put them.
Okay. Thank you.
Brad, have you talked to anybody from the township out there to see do they typically apply for frost law money for dust control or anything in their township?
No. That's a, be honest with you, that's a touchy subject with, one of the main board members. His true belief is that dust control ruins the road. And the other thing is that, we put speed bumps in that he would rather just put dirt bumps in or gravel bumps in or whatever. And I don't believe in those either. And, you know, and it all falls under the pretense of if we ever wanted to pave that road, he didn't like that idea because all it does is ask people to go faster. So I'm just kind of working uphill against the township to a certain extent. But the speed bump probably is the least of issues. And if the township is asked to maintain that road, that person will have a little bit of an issue with those speed bumps. So I'm not quite sure. Right now, I get kind of confused because we've done it so many different ways. Who is maintaining that outer circle road?
We are, the county is responsible for it.
Okay, all right. So.
And in emergency situations weather emergency situations where we can't get there immediately, just like everyone else that lives out in the county, if out in the county, they take care of themselves to get out, and then we get out there when it's safe for us to get out there and clean it up.
Well, that's what I was under the impression. And so you just,
So does that,
you may get a resident or two that don't like a speed bump, but then those are the residents that maybe are driving too fast or.
Yeah, there's definitely people that don't even like the speed bumps in the campground. I've heard complaints about it, and I told them I don't care. They need to slow down.
so Brad, does that township supervisor have any right to have an opinion?
No.
Asking for a friend.
Just as a homeowner out there.
I think I think there's I think that whole dust control. I mean, Brad's right. I agree with Brad about the township supervisor, his opinion where he stands. But I think that he's not the only one. I think that's a divided opinion through a lot of people out at Blacktail. And I know the last time I went to their whatever it's their association meeting. Even in that group, they were divided. Half of them really wanted dust control, and half of them were very much against it.
In fact, there's some that just, perform their own dust control.
Yeah,
Either go out and buy the product and put it on the road in front of their place or buy their place or whatever it may be. And it's worked for them. I have to say it's our road and we are a final decision on it, but do we want to be a decision maker for individuals who attempt to keep the dust down out there? I personally am fine with the way they're doing it. Unless we go all dust control.
Mhm.
And then I would be fine. I'm fine with that also, to be honest with you. But I know, Steve, we've talked about it, if we ever wanted it paved, it should become a village or a town, a city. Those are all way out. Those, there's just too many people have too many opinions. And so you hit the nail on the head. Who really can say what should be done? And I think the speed bumps are the simplest. I assume we take those out as soon as it gets close to winter.
Yep, absolutely.
And so I think they're the simplest.
Yeah, I think we'd put them in sometime end of April, beginning of May, and then we'd take them out in end of October, middle October.
We've just got a lot of fast traffic. As soon as they think they're away from anything, they fly through that whole that north road is like a drag strip almost.
It is, and I'll tell you, you're right, and I've yelled at kids, I've yelled at my employees. My employees know very well, slow down, right? Because we can't get yelled at because I'm telling other people to slow down. So you're right, though. People drive fast if they can out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next meeting, February 15th.
That's a Wednesday?
Is the 15th Wednesday?
Am I right? I looked at my calendar, it's in
Yeah, they
Wednesday.
have to be Tuesdays. Did I write the wrong day on?
Yeah,
Okay, so it
February
should be
15th is a
14th.
Wednesday, so we need to be 14th.
Yep.
Ooh, nice, nice touch. Yeah, it should be the 21st, second, yeah,
21st, the third Tuesday.
21st.
yeah.
Jeez, how did I get the 15th?
I'll make that, boys. I'll be there.
Pull it in. 21st. Yep.
Okay, well, if nobody else has anything good for the order, we'll adjourn at, I think, 10:05. Thanks, guys.